So working on Harry's car still, chipping away at all the panels. Been working pretty hard on this door. This was pretty poor panel, actually had lots of dings all over it. It was it was kind of hit from pillar to post, so we're stuck with it. We couldn't, it's not easy to go out and buy another door, particularly in Australia. Even in America, it was very hard to find parts when we were there a couple of years ago. You got to find the part you need at the time, where you are. You know, you could find the door in Texas, but you've got to get it from, you know, Texas to wherever you're shipping from, so it can make it sort of unviable cost-wise. So we ended up working with what we had. Anyway, that door now is in its first high fill, so now I've got to speed file that. I might show you that on film, and hopefully get that nice and flat. And then the driver's side door was actually a pretty clean door, pretty straight, but the corner was completely missing. There was absolutely nothing left. The whole corner was like, had someone had glued like a patch of steel in there and body fill. It was just an ugly mess. So I've had to make the outside and the inside frame completely and then overlap the edge. That's roughed out. I've got to put it in on the car now and actually make sure this lines up as it's supposed to. I'm hoping it will. And then the boot lid is pretty clean. It's just got a few little parking dings and things here and there, so I've just got to go over it and make sure I pick up every dent. And then once those 3 panels are done, then I've got the 2 guards and the bonnet to go over there. So still a bit to go, but getting there. The car's coming along. So we're just sanding up Harry's door. Now it's a funny thing when you sand up when you do this stage. I always use a speed file with no padding. It's very hard. And you get your repair like this. I've looked at it in reflection after I've high-filled it. It looks beautiful and straight. But believe me, when you run the sander over it, you'll realise how bad it is. It actually looks quite good, but this tells everything. Because it's a hard back, it doesn't forgive at all. Any slight ripples or any highs and lows, it'll show you straight away with the guide tape. So let's run with the grain, keep it fairly flat. And then the witness mark for the load will come up because of the guide tape. And I'll show you where it's good and where it's not. And you just hope it's close enough, it won't go through the high build primer. There's no forgiving whatsoever in this sander. Now you've got to keep the sandpaper clear. If you don't, it won't sand clearly. And you can see it's got a build up on it. The old 12-inch ruler, and knock out the dust, and you keep going again. So it pays to go across like the grain of wood. Sweep it and slightly go to the side, slightly come down because it's a radius. You don't want it all straight because you might get jagged lines. You've got to kind of sweep it slightly side to side and just gently work it down, and hopefully your repairs are good enough that you're not going to go through the high build primer. But usually there's always something. I can feel a low spot right there. This will tell you straight away if it's any good or not. Of course, the better the panel is when you start, the easier it is. Because this door had dents all over it, I basically had the spot repairs all over the place, and then a thin smear of filler over the whole surface. It's the only way I'm going to make it even and straight. So I made it as good as I could in filler, then 3 coats of high build primer, and then we use the hard file, and then see what I've got. So I can feel a bit of a low spot right there. It's clogged up quite a bit at the start. Often it's just a bit of the guide coat that tends to clog the paper a little bit. So at the moment I've got a tiny spot there, that should come out. And we'll see if this one comes out here. Now you can cheat a bit if you wanted to. You can actually take shorter strokes and sweep the sander more sideways, but you're kind of cheating yourself because you'll create a low spot. So as much as you can, keep it straight and long sweep so that it doesn't sort of concentrate too much in one area, and you'll end up with a nice flat panel. We're trying to keep everything consistent. That's the important thing when it comes to bodywork. You're trying to get it flat, straight, but also your body lines you want straight. And this has got like a concave radius down here. And this has all been damaged, like it was all bent and twisted, so I'm trying to make the best out of it. So one thing is I often use tape to sort of get a bit of an eye on the body line. And you can see it's already dropped away a little bit here. So I made up a sheet metal sanding plate, which has got like a radius on it, which is close to what it needs to be here. And it's about trying to get a consistent radius and hopefully a consistent line. So long sweeps. But you've also got to have not put too much weight on the bottom half so it digs a big line in down here. So it's a bit of a balancing act. But it's better than flying blind, you know, just at least this gives you some guide. Try and keep it consistent, smooth. That feels pretty good. Now I've got a bit of a high spot here. This looks like the original body line. Sometimes you find the body line that you've ended up creating is a little bit high because this looks like the original body line here. So when I finish this bottom half, I'll put masking tape off that body line there and then sand this face down to the body line in order to get it in the right position. Like I said, it's a bit of a balancing act. So now I'm trying to keep the bottom of that tool flat to this surface and let the radius go up into that and try not to dig a hole. It's very easy to go too low and you end up with a big line or a gouge there and you can never sand it out again. So try to get that radius as consistent as I can. Now come back with a big flat sander. Try and blend the two together. Be careful not to gouge the sander into the radius, and you've got to try and blend that flat leading into that radius. So it's quite tricky. I try to sneak up on it, come down below it, get the bottom going good, and then I'll sneak up to the line above it. See what I mean about the highs and lows? There's all different levels. When it was wet with the high fill, it looked beautiful and straight. Put this little fella on there and it shows all the highs and lows. Makes your repair look terrible. If you get it pretty decent with this one, then I three layers of high build primer again, then I block it again, and I end up getting a pretty good result. If you're going for car show, want to win best paint or something, well, you've got to go through more steps. You'd have to probably high build prime it again and hard block it again with another speed file, getting better each time. But I'm into kind of drivers. I still make them nice, but I'm not trying to make it look, show winning. I believe if you make it too nice, you won't drive it. You'll be too scared to take it out. So because I can see that body line showing through just here, I've determined that the body line's a fraction high, not much. This is a telltale sign. Light shows everything. So it looks like I've lost the line a little bit just there. Maybe a fraction there, but it's looking pretty good overall. So I'll put the tape back on there and we'll use that as a guide, and I'll come back down the other way to meet the tape. Not talking very much. Even with the thickness of the high build primer, you can actually shift the line up and down. You can make the line wobbly, but you can also move it up and down a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. This doesn't need much. The tape actually stops you or helps you not to go too low either. The sand will hit the tape and it won't cut. So there's advantages to that. And you come back with the old light and it tells you where you're at. That's looking pretty good. Looks a little bit high just through here. Looking better. Bring it down a little bit more. It should be pretty right. So it looks pretty good. You see I've broken through a few parts. Where a slight high spot was. I got one little low spot right there. I might put a tiny little bit of filler. Feels like a very small low spot. I'll put a tiny little bit of filler in that. Otherwise, I'm very happy how it's sanded up. That's the variation I made on the line, just to bring that line down a bit to make it straight. So I'm happy with the line. Yeah, so for a pretty rough door, I think it's going to come up pretty good. So now it gets 3 more coats of high build primer, and then gets a final block down before paint. So, yeah, no, really happy with it. It's looking really good. Now all I've got to do now is all the other parts. So I've got to do that door. That door was the one that was very bad in here. I've done it in and out. I've got to smooth that out. And then the boot lid's got a couple of, half dozen small dings. This door is actually pretty straight, so it shouldn't take too much work to fix that one up. Okay, so I have that basically sitting in position now. So it'll still bolt through the 2 bolts for the header panel. I've got all the plug weld holes punched, and then this will just sit down and should have a nice gap, tiny little gap there. And I'll just slowly stitch it along, not too close together, trying not to get too much heat in it. And I brought that down a couple of mil on the front corner. Yeah, so when it's in, I think it's going to line up really good. So there you go, it's all tacked in place. Just use the magnets to help support the 2 levels, get them even. Even got this little line down here nice and flat now, which matches the bumper, which makes me happy. So I'll need to go along and plug weld it along there, which is how it was originally. And obviously I've just got to slowly stitch it in and try not to get too much heat in it. So you kind of go beside each one, let it cool beside each one, and work your way down until you have it all sealed. If you just weld it all in one hit, you'll get a lot more distortion. You'll still get some distortion, but you'll get a lot more if you fully weld it. So anyway, just a bit of an update. Okay, there we have the end result. So I've just rough ground all that. Got a good gap. And that's all bolted up there. You can see that's going to line up nicely. And of course, the old straight edge test. Run that down the corner there. And I've got a nice line on the edge of the guard. I will double check with the hood, make sure it looks good with that. Now I've said this before, this needs a bit more flipping. I'm going to tap this up a bit when it's upside down on the bench. I'll do that once I finish all the welding. I want to do all the welding with the panel on the car just to make sure it doesn't shift anywhere that I don't want it to go. I'll tap this up a bit better than that. But already it's feeling pretty good. There's not too many ripples in it. And I've said before on my channel, I could grind this down and make this all smooth and beautiful so it looks, but there's no point. It's only taking the strength away from the weld. I'd rather leave a little witness where the weld was and just make it a fraction low. It's going to have a skin of filler over it anyway. And I love it. I like leaving a nice ground rough finish like that so the filler's got something to grip onto. Anyway, so that's what I do. But at least I know it's done right. There's no rust in there. It's nice and strong. It's got all this built back in here again now, all plug welded like it should be. Obviously I'll clean all that up. So I've got one more at the back to do, and I think that's finally the end of the rust on this guard. Getting to the pointy end now. So both front guards are in high fill. The first 3 coats now. I've got a speed file, both fenders. I use this, where is it? My hardback speed file. I go down to 120 grit. And this is a speed file I always use in this situation where it's got no padding behind the paper. Shows up every single ripple and dent that you miss. And I'm sure there'll be some because particularly this left-hand front guard was really bad. But I think it's going to come up alright. So, getting to the pointy end though, let's get the car, once this is done, I've just got the bonnet to go. And then check over a few other things, and then I can start getting at final paint. This was a pretty reasonable guard, and when I paint, when I put the high fill on, like I said, I do 3 coats, and I get the reflection when it's wet, and very often I can pick little dents and little things that I might have missed, which is very easy to do. So what I do is I get a piece of paper every time. It's pretty basic. And I do the left and right guard or whatever part that I'm doing, and I spot marks, dents and ripples that I might have seen when it was wet. So at least I know when I'm sanding it now, I know I've got to particularly look for some of those things that I pointed out. So anyway, one step forward, two steps back. It's amazing how you get bogged down with all the little bits and pieces you don't think of. You concentrate on doing all the major body parts, of course, and then when it comes down to it, this car particularly, because it's got painted bumpers, so I had to prepare those. And then the inserts for the Roadrunner hood, they were all covered in horrible paint that had to be stripped off. And the mirrors are going to be painted, so they had to be prepared as well. This mirror wasn't on the car, we've had to source that. And then of course the bonnet, so that will have to be gone over, speed filed one more time, pick up any little dings. I found 3 dings already in it that I'll have to pick up. Easy to do when you've got a large surface to miss a couple of things, and sometimes you're just better off getting it into high fill. They stand out when you've got all one colour. It's hard when you've got primer and filler and all blending together. Sometimes you miss things. Yeah, so once I speed file that one more time, pick up a few more dings, I think we're almost done with bodywork. Finally. Of course, the car is just, well, the back half of the car is fully assembled. The front fenders are just sitting on there, just so they're easy to not fall over them in the shop. So I'm looking forward to getting to the end of that. But it is amazing. Look at all the bits scattered everywhere, and each one of them you've got to look over every square inch, otherwise you'll miss a dent, or there'll be something that you didn't notice, and then when it's shiny, all of a sudden you notice it. So our production line's moving along. Another step forward. So I've got all the little pieces, the loose pieces that take forever to prepare and get ready for paint. Like I said, these jobs seem to go on and on and on. So I've decided to paint, well, we're always going to paint the front and rear bumpers. It's part of the way Harry wants the car done. But I think I'm going to assemble the valance and the front bumper on the car because they're really hard to get on. And I figure if I do mark or do any scratches, which I hope I don't, I can at least, rectify that when I paint the car. So the mirrors are done. I made up a right side mirror out of a couple of mirror parts that I had laying around. The inserts for the Roadrunner hood. Side marker lights are cool ones for the 71. They look really cool. This horrible fender that took forever. So the bumper goes over the top of that, and obviously the jam, so I'll be able to bolt that in. Bonnets in colour, and the rear bumper, and also the front valance. So I painted this on purpose in here because I figure I'm going to fit the bumper up and then I'll isolate that. Probably right on that body edge is what I'm thinking, that body line. So yeah, so it's looking good. So all the bits are all lined up. Looks like a runway of red bits. So I'm just rectifying a little issue on the car, the gear shift. We converted this car to a slapstick gear shift on the floor, and it had this lever on here, which I think came off the motorhome, or whatever this was in, a truck or whatever this motor and transmission was in. And then I think this is the right one. It's much longer. So at the moment the shift works, but it's out of sync with the park neutral positioning. So a bit awkward to get in there now with the exhaust and everything up there. But anyway, that's the next thing I'm going to attempt, is put that back in. Car will be running again, and then I can fully assemble the front and she'll be ready for final rub down. So I'm looking forward to that. Coming forward in leaps and bounds. I've got the all front back on for the final time. It's been off and on a few times now. And last time I took everything off was to finish all the bodywork. So straighten up all the panels, fix any dents, whatever you need to find. And then prepare the bumpers for colour-coded bumpers, which Harry wanted. So I've finished the front valance and the front bumper, and I've done the jams of the header panel and the guard. So I'm going to isolate those when I paint the rest of the car. Just worried about getting all that back on again. It's quite tricky getting bumpers on, especially loop bumpers, and not damage or scratch any of the paint. I shouldn't have worried because it went on with no problems at all. But it's looking really good. Got really good gaps. I hate bad gaps. So it's finally looking like a car. I've just fixed the window regulator in the passenger window there, passenger door, and I've got to get a a weather strip put in the top there. Fitted the hood pins. They're not screwed down because it's got to come apart. Got really good alignments, good gaps. Bumper fits great. Remember, this car was damaged. Yeah, it's looking really good. So we're really getting to the pointy end now. I know I keep saying that, but it's always one stage after the next. So it's virtually ready. I'm just doing a couple of little things. We're going to prepare and clean up the inside of the boot. And I think then I'm virtually ready to do the final rub down, ready for paint. As you can see, I've probably mentioned this, I've already done the rear valance and the rifle tips. Looks pretty cool. So on to the next stage. All the hard work's done. Well, masking anyway, it's taken quite a while. So spent probably a good 3 hours masking. Makes a big difference how well you mask them, particularly you know, if you haven't got perfect conditions. I always make sure, for example, I back mask the fence here, anywhere, holes, anywhere you think that the you know, might blow some dust out, because people keep thinking that the dust lands on it from outside, which it can do, but a lot of it comes off you, off your body, off your person, and a lot of it can blow out of little holes and little pockets. So you just try to do everything you can to prevent that. It's looking really good. I can't wait to see it all shiny. It's looking nice and straight. I've got a few edges I've got to just dust a little bit of primer on before I go to base coat, where I've rubbed through. But overall, it's come up looking really good. I think it's going to look pretty straight. Such a nice curvy shape. I love the differences in, you know, doing different models. It's really nice seeing all the shapes come up. So I've isolated the whole front like I mentioned before, so the bumper is all carefully rolled, the tape's rolled back on the edge. It's a little trick when you're masking up into corners, you roll the masking tape backwards so it's got a soft edge, and then the paint doesn't tend to flow over the top of the rolled edge. It tends to, you get a softer edge. So anyway, next time you see it, it'll be all nice and shiny, hopefully. Well, no one can say that's not a real red. That is loud, but it's going to look really cool when it's all fully dressed with all the gear, and pretty happy with the finish. Looks pretty straight. Needs to be rubbed back and cut. You know, even if you get the best conditions to paint in, you still get a little bit of dust, but also to get it nice and flat and a real good clear finish, a wet rub and a polish goes a long way anyway. So got a little bit of fine dust in it, but no more than you'd expect. It's looking really good. Just go around this side, get the reflection with the light on it. It's a far cry from where it came from, that's for sure. The red's going to look really good on it. You know, it suits the car. It's probably just a little bit, maybe a little bit brighter than what a rally red would have been of the era, which was what Harry wanted. I wanted to pop just a little bit more. Yeah, but overall, pretty good finish. Like I said, I've got to wet sand it and polish it, and then it'll look really looking a bit better. Spent some time polishing. It's a very tedious, slow job. It's had one decent cut, but it will dull off slightly and will have to be recut again. But I've taken out all the peel, and really happy with the result. Looks amazing compared to what we started with. Looks like a very different car. Now I'm looking, Harry's got to come in now and do some more hands-on. He's going to do some fitting of the parts. I've done all the shiny part. Now it's up to Harry to do some assembly. So he's looking forward to doing that. He can't wait to put the wheels on, of course. But for now, it's handy having those wheels. Don't have to worry about them getting dirty. Colour looks really good. Suits the car. It's the same colour I painted my Challenger. But you know, it doesn't look really far from an original Rally Red anyway. I think it's a little bit stronger, but I think it looks really good. So the easy stuff, all the fun part comes now. Putting all the jewellery on and, you know, standing back and look at all your hard work. It's been a lot of hard work, but it's worth it. Such a great shape, they're so flamboyant. I just love the fact that they are so curvy and everything's exaggerated. There's nothing conservative about the shape of this car. Not everybody likes them, but I do personally. We're going to have the obviously colour-coded bumpers you've seen, and then you can have an option with a blackout that goes around the tail light and down the rear stone tray. We're going to do that. And the GTX has a black stripe that comes out of the hood centre from the call out. So there's 440 in the hood. There's the two stripes that come out over the top of the guard. We're going to do that. And the rocker molds, I managed to get the original GTX rocker molds when I was in America, so we won't see those for a while. So for now it'll have to go without. Drilled the holes for the GTX badge on the quarter panel. You got the correct badge for the grille, so in all purposes it'll look correct. No, it's looking really good. It's come up really nice. Very happy with the body. Looks nice and straight. Good door gaps, hood gaps, everything's really good.